Hi guys, just a recap. This is Mattie. I wrote it when I was 14 years old, and in my last video I read you the preface, and today I'm going to read you chapter 1. Before we begin, I would like to stress that I wrote this a long time ago, before I knew anything about writing. It was literally just for fun, so there will be some childish expression and sentence structure in here, but the plot is still good. I adore this story, and I really hope that you do too, so yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Before I begin, just again, Playing with Reality on Amazon. Please take a look, that would mean the world to me. Thank you. So, and if you like Mattie, Playing with Reality is, well, it's different, but it's still this style of writing, so see if you like it. Anyway, here we go. 1. Family. I rolled over to be blinded by the light. I inhaled deeply. They had all been in at some point during the hours of darkness. I could smell it. The sweet, comforting scent of my family. Rosalie had been in twice. Trust Rose. I rolled over again to be blinded by the same light. An almost silent hiss escaped my lips. I regretted it almost instantly. Now the whole house would know I was awake. I didn't want to wake up. Alice was skipping up the stairs. She was always the first to greet me in the morning. I guessed that she was excited about something. I could tell by her footsteps. When the pat of her feet stopped, I knew she was in my room. I groaned as I opened my eyes. I was in bedroom number 1, my first bedroom. I had no recollection of how I got there. I was in my favourite house. It belonged to the Cullens, my family. My bedroom was very large, too large to count as a bedroom. The walls were a crisp white, and all of my furniture looked as if it had just been taken out of a shop. The oldest thing in my bedroom was my pixie-like auntie. Alice stared at me, a huge smile spreading across her beautiful white face. I looked into her eyes and was startled. "Alice," I whispered, my eyes wide open. "You were supposed to go hunting last night. You look ravenous." I had never seen her eyes so dark. They weren't quite black, but it was close. I was slightly offended. She left me with nothing to do when she supposedly went hunting. I suddenly had a brilliant idea. Excitement overwhelmed me, and I briefly forgot why I was offended. "I can come with you." Alice just shook her head. I was only allowed to go hunting with Carlisle. This was all for my own safety, of course. Everyone was overprotective of me. It was really irritating. Blood ran in my veins. I needed human food to survive, but I also needed blood to satisfy my thirst. No one knew what I was. Everyone agreed that it was best for me if I only went hunting with Carlisle, because then if something happened to me, he could fix it. "Carlisle can come too," I moaned. "Please, Alice." I gave her my saddest face, but it didn't work much. "Sorry, Ellie-Rose, I'm just too busy for hunting at the moment." I was momentarily stunned. Since when was an immortal too busy to do anything? Especially Alice. She was always doing something, but never too busy to chat to me. I was extremely curious. What was she planning? A party? A holiday? Whatever it was, it shouldn't have taken over her hunting time. "Alice, what—" I was cut short. She held her delicate finger to my lips, and in one swift, elegant movement, she was next to me on the bed. All in good time. She beamed at me and looked incredibly pleased with herself. I would have to try and get out of Edward later. The sun was shining brilliantly into my room. Alice sighed, as her skin glittered and glistened stunningly in the early morning sunbeams. She would have to stay hidden today. I examined my skin. It glinted feebly. No human would ever notice it. I groaned. I guess I had to go to school. Alice laughed at me. She knew how much I hated going to school. It wasn't really school that I disliked. I had friends, I loved to learn, and I enjoyed the freedom. No, it wasn't school. It was that I had to leave my vampire world. I hated being around humans. It made me feel dangerous. I don't belong there, I thought to myself, returning to the present. I don't belong with the vampires either. I don't belong anywhere. I live in a world where vampires and werewolves run around strong and fast. I could never fit into a world where your biggest worry was failing the maths test next week. I had bigger problems. I'm not a vampire. I'm not a human. I'm not a werewolf. I'm a mix of all three. I shouldn't be able to exist. Vampire genes and werewolf genes can't exist side by side. That's why everyone's so overprotective of me. They're worried I'm going to drop dead at any moment. which, to be fair, could happen. I sighed and pulled myself out of bed. Alice followed, a look of concern painted across her face. "What?" I asked innocently. "Your arm," she replied simply. I looked at my arm. Crap, it's visible. I had a small purple bruise on the inside of my right arm. I didn't want anyone to see it, because then they would worry about how weak I was becoming. I used to be strong with unbreakable skin. "What happened?" Alice asked, interested. "Well, yesterday my friend Martin trapped my arm between two tables." She glared, her eyes momentarily going deep black, severe and threatening. "It was an accident," I cut in quickly. I didn't want Martin to be blamed for the insignificant bruise on my arm. I changed the subject. "What's happening to me, Alice? I'm getting weaker and weaker. I'm also getting slower. I can only just walk faster than human pace. I hate walking slow." Alice looked really disturbed now. My health had never been good, but this must have really worried her. "I feel fine," I blurted out quickly. I needed to make her feel at ease again. It was upsetting to see her in pain. When I was younger, I used to be just like a vampire, fast and strong. My eyesight and hearing were brilliant. We all thought I must have inherited mostly vampire genes, seeing as they're dominant. I was 13, really 4.5, when things started to go wrong. It's been downhill from there. "Alice?" I asked tentatively. She smiled at me, but her eyes were heartbreaking. "Do you feel all right today, Ali-Rose?" "Yeah, I honestly feel fine." She didn't seem convinced. "You can ask Edward if you don't believe me." Edward's mind-reading gift helped me out frequently. It was one way to reassure everyone that I was fine. I started to busy myself around my room in my normal everyday routine. I hoped it would encourage how ordinary I felt. I began making my bed when Alice interrupted me. "I'll do that if you want." "No, Alice, please, I'm fine, I swear." "There must be something critically wrong with you if you want to make your own bed," she teased, all signs of grief gone. I laughed, glad the mood was back to normal. I suddenly remembered where I was. Why am I here? We were at Rosalie and Emmett's house. I was expecting to wake up there. In bedroom number 3, I thought to myself. Only Edward knew I numbered my bedrooms. When his talent wasn't useful, it was just downright annoying. "We were there, but—" She trailed off. Guilt was written across her face, but only for a second. "What?" "Well," she began again, "we didn't want to leave you on your own without Carlisle close by." She smiled tentatively. It didn't help. I was outraged. Okay, my health was bad. Okay, they all loved me too much to see me fragile and defenceless. But did they really have to be so extreme? "Yes," I heard Edward call from downstairs. I growled at him, but I heard him laugh. Edward was my favourite uncle, if you will. He always looked out for me, and apart from Rose, he was the most protective. Edward had been married to his wife Bella for almost 12 years. We still thought of them as the happy couple and newlyweds, but we've all promised them we'll cut it out when they reach 20 years of marriage. I wish I could have seen their wedding. Bella and Edward's story fascinated me. I was in love with it, like everyone my age, with the exception, of course, of my friend Harriet. Bella wrote her story and published it under Stephanie Meyer. To start with, she only wrote it to ensure that she would never forget her human memories, but we all encouraged her to publish it. We had no idea about the effect it would have on our lives. Now everyone I know wants to marry Edward Cullen. It's weird. He finds it amusing, but Bella thinks it's understandable. We had to move away from America. There was too much Cullen hype over there. Nobody wanted to leave, but Carlisle promised we'd go back as soon as the excitement had faded. My guess is 80 years. That should be enough time for all the Twilighters to die, right? Now we live in England. It's supposed to be rainy here. To be fair, it's not too sunny. It's good for us. It's just exceptionally infuriating to have to go out and run errands for everyone, especially when it's a school day. When I had finally finished getting ready, I found myself sitting in the kitchen alone, which was strange. I was never left alone. Just as the thought entered my head, Edward appeared. I should have known. Of course he'd been listening. He chuckled and came to sit on the chair beside me. "Here we go again." "So," he began. I knew exactly what he was going to say next. "How are you this morning, Ali-Rose?" He was still smiling. I could never understand why he had to ask me. "I'm normal." "Are you sure?" He seemed troubled. "Yes, of course, you should know," I pointed out. "Yes," he agreed, relaxing. "I just can't loosen the feeling that you're hiding something from me." I shifted my right arm so that it was safely under the table. This didn't go unnoticed. Alice already told me. She didn't mean to, he added kindly. You know I'm always checking up on you. I sighed. It was obvious. I was almost 100% certain that even my dreams weren't private. We have such interesting dreams. Fascinating. He interrupted my thoughts once again. You can't compete with Nessie, though. Her dreams were mesmerising, until she reached adolescence, and they were full of Jacob. I really didn't need to see anything like that. He made a face, and I laughed. Jacob and Renesmee still lived in La Push. Their lives haven't been affected by the twilight phase, and plus, Jacob couldn't leave his pack. Anyway, Edward continued, getting to the point again, are you sure you want to go to school? I thought about this for a moment. I really didn't want to go to school. It wasn't for medical reasons. The best way to be normal would be to go to school. Yes, I want to go, I said, unsuccessfully trying to control my temper. Edward smirked at me. You don't have to go, he teased. Yes, I do, I hissed. It's the only way to stay normal. I suddenly felt calm and relaxed. I turned my head searching, and then I saw him. I knew it. Jasper. I took a deep breath. I had inherited my temper from all sides, and there was no way to escape it. Edward chuckled again. I wondered what was funny, but Jasper was grinning too. I hated being left out. I trailed out of the kitchen to find Carlisle. It should be time to go to school by now. So that's chapter 1. Next time, chapter 2, normality. See you then.